Today, on this program, we're going to show you an all-new way to drink beer.
I've been going to Clearwater for more than 20 years for spring training. I'm going to tell you the best places to eat, drink, and watch baseball.
Wow, he's Todd Zalecki. I'm Glen Macnow. We're at the Mystic Ways Brewery in Percy for an all-new episode of What's Brewing.
What's Brewing is brought to you in part by Monco Maker's Passport. Download your free digital pass and sip your way through Montgomery County. By the Conshohocken Brewing Company, featuring 4 locations and available at beer retailers throughout the tri-state area. By Visit Bucks County. Travel the Bucks County Ale Trail. Get your passport at visitbuckscounty.com. And by support from the Pennsylvania Malt and Brewed Beverage Industry Promotion Board and grant funding from the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board.
Hey, welcome to What's Brewing. I'm Glen Macnow, joined by my pal Todd Zalecki of MLB Network, MLB.com. Todd's about to go down to spring training with the Phillies. He's going to give you the lowdown on that. First of all, we want to tell you we're at the Mystic Ways Brewery in Percy on Walnut Street, one of many on the Bucks County Ale Trail. See what other great locations are available on their free digital passport. Todd, I am drinking there. I forget what I'm drinking here. The Hopkamy 07, 7.6% ABV. This is a good one. What do you got?
I've got the Weedy in the Tweedy, unfiltered Pilsner, 5.3%. Fantastic.
You just ordered that because you like the name.
I love the name.
But the beer looks good. Okay, so we always start the show with the beer swap, and because Todd is going to be spending a lot of time in the Gulf Coast of Florida, Clearwater, Tampa area, along with many thousands of Phillies fans, we thought we'd feature beers from down there. So here's what I brought you. This is one of my favorite, Cigar City Maduro Brown Ale. I'm a big fan of the Nut Brown Ale. I don't know about you. It's always been a go-to for me. And of course, Cigar City, a huge, very successful brewery there. Look at that, baby, huh?
Beautiful.
Doesn't that look good? So this was inspired by the Maduro cigar from Ybor City, which is where they make the cigars down there. It's a kind of a Northern English brown ale brewed with flaked oats, full in body, silky on the palate. Enjoy, my friend.
All right, cheers.
Yeah, see, I'm a big fan
solid.
of that.
Yeah, I love
I'm an
that.
IPA guy, but I'll always drink one of these.
Yeah, it's a good change of pace.
Always enjoy it. All right, what'd you bring me?
I got the Highlight IPA from Cigar City, and this is...
Oh, you went all the way to the same brewery, did you?
Same brewery. This is legit, though, my go-to down in Clearwater. For me, there's nothing better. After a good, hard day of work, you're on the Gulf of Mexico, the sun is going down, you have a grouper sandwich, and
that's a fine
you have a
night.
Highlight.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. This is what, Gulf Coast living is like in Florida.
So I teased you a little that you brought me from the same brewery, but as it turns out, it's really hard to find beers from down that area up here. I went to my guy Jim Martin and Lower Merion Beverage Company. They have everything, and this is pretty much what it is, but let's try this. This is a classic, and this is really successful.
Really. This is like their flagship beer down there.
That's a great beer.
I mean, you're down in it's the sunset right now in the Gulf of Mexico, right?
You're there with a grouper sandwich.
If you see me down there and I'm having a beer, this is probably
all the
what's gonna be.
baseball scribes, right? Figuring it all out.
Absolutely.
All right, so Todd, if I get to go down to spring training this year for a week or two, what are the Todd Zalecki must-sees?
Okay, so for me, Frenchies on the beach. There's a few Frenchies. There's one on the beach, a couple off the beach. They all have great food. They all have the Highlight, so you can't go wrong with that. That's number one. Anywhere on the beach, and then you can just kind of walk from place to place on the beach. My kind of go-to, though, is downtown Dunedin, which a lot of people come to Clearwater. They stay in Clearwater, but Dunedin, the Blue Jays train there about 10, 15 minutes from the ballpark in Clearwater. They have the Dunedin Brewery. They have a couple other breweries down there. They also have my very favorite restaurant in Florida, Honu Hawaiian restaurant. They got a great beer selection. Great. Again, I go with the whole vibe when I'm in Florida. Anything with shorts, t-shirt, flip-flops.
Oh gosh! So if people find their way down there, Phillies fans go down there and they want to find Todd Zalecki, that's where they'll find you.
I love to give recommendations while I'm down there.
All right, we asked our viewers to name some of their favorite spots in spring training. You can always reach me at Real Glen Macnow or the show at What's Brewing PA. So here you go. Terry Yu said Frenchie's, Lenny's, Alumni Day, St. Patrick's Day, the Phillies were the green. The Tiki Bar, we didn't mention the Tiki Bar.
Tiki Bar's a great spot.
And those places all came up a lot. Those are like the classics,
yeah, the
right?
Tiki Bar for a Phillies game at Baycare Ballpark. I mean, you see it on TV all the time, right? Everybody is huddled around the Tiki Bar before the game, during the game, and then an hour or so after the game.
Or the Berm. Right?
The Berm is a great spot
Which is
as
past,
well.
for people who know, if you watch the Phillies game in the outfield, you look up and there's the hill behind the outfield, the picnic lunch and a beer there.
Bring a blanket.
Yeah.
Again, have a couple
That's
beers.
a funny day.
Fun
All
watch.
right, let me give you another. Bob Wolf said, the Carpenter Complex, being able to walk from field to field in seconds and watch the young pups go through their drills, watch how the best kids on every team they've ever played with struggle and overcome. And that is really part of the fun of spring training, is seeing that next guy, seeing the kids.
Yeah, last year if you went down there, you would have seen Andrew Painter, their top pitching prospect who could make the rotation coming out of camp, and all their top prospects are down there. So that's kind of a cool thing. You kind of learn to dream big about who's coming up through the Philly system.
Is Andrew Painter got a shot to make the club?
I think he's got a very real shot to make this team. At 19 years old, they haven't had a 19-year-old pitch for the Phillies in a very long time.
Wow. Hey, it was a great year for the Phillies as it turned out last year. Maybe this one will be even better. All right, coming up, we're going to show you the stupidest things that you can do in the snow, drinking a beer, and more. We're at the Mystic Ways Brewery in Percy. Todd Zalecki, Glen Macnow. What's brewing?
So we went to this place called Bucks County for vacation. There was so much to do. We played games, rode on a train, and visited Kids Castle. I went on rides, water slides, and got to hang with Elmo at Sesame Place. We hiked to this huge boulder field called Ringing Rocks. Oh, and I got to meet a pilot. That was so cool. You gotta go.
Welcome back to What's Brewing. I'm Glen Macnow, joined by my pal Todd Zalecki, baseball writer extraordinaire. We're at the Mystic Ways Brewery in Percy. Really fun little place, Todd. A lot of atmosphere here.
Very cool vibe.
Yeah, very cool vibe. It's like I could sit here and waste an afternoon or evening without a problem. This, of course, is part of the Bucks County Ale Trail. Just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to things to do in these parts. Plan your next trip at visitbuckscounty.com. Now, we have been soliciting from our viewers all year to get your home video of you drinking beer, going to a fun beer place, sharing a beer with a friend, doing anything. To be honest, we haven't gotten a lot. So I'm putting it out again. At Real Glen Macnow on Twitter, Glen Macnow on Facebook, whatever, at What's Brewing. But we're going to show you this because they recently concluded one of my favorite things, which is the Cabin Fever Days Barstool Racing in Montana. And Todd, what you see are some drunken idiots going down a hill on a bar stool converted into skis, drinking beer.
Well, you know, in Montana, I think you have to find ways to entertain yourself in the middle of winter. As a native Wisconsinite, I know that in the wintertime, you get a little bored and you start to think crazy thoughts, and this is a crazy thought.
By the way, how'd that year go for those Packers? Okay, nonetheless.
Not good.
I am drinking, Todd, by the way, right now, a Bunkle Dunkle. I like a dark lager. I know my pal Joe Sixpack does. This is 5.4%, and they say it reminds us of medium toasted bread and Kit Kats. Well, that sold me right there. What do you got?
I got the Beautiful Distortion, American Style IPA, 7.2%.
Oh, this is good. This is you know what? Come to this brewery, get this beer. This is really good.
Fantastic.
Okay, little bit of news I want to share with you. Omnis Brewing is planning to open at a former car dealership, on Lancaster Avenue in Downingtown. Omnis, which means everyone, thank you, you don't know your Latin, has a stated goal of striving for diversity in staff, customers, and we presume beer, so that's good. Always like new openings. VK Brewing Company and Eatery is opening at the historic shipbuilding in Exton. Look forward to trying that out. And the Humble Parlor Brewing Company has opened a second location on Girard Avenue in Fishtown. My God, there's, I don't know if you ever get to Fishtown from where you live down in the city. There's like a dozen breweries, tap houses in Fishtown. That may be the epicenter of good beer in our city.
It's like every other block, there seems to be something you're running, oh, this exists, you know, you didn't even realize it.
Yes. And it's happening here in Percy, which we're going to tell you about it even more coming up. But right now, we're going to go to our pal Sam Stafford, who is at the Doane Distillery in Quakertown. Take it away, Sam.
Hey Glenn, today we're in Quakertown, Pennsylvania at Doane Distillery, and I'm here with the owner, Chris Labange. Chris, you guys just opened about 3 years ago now. Can you tell us how you started the process and how you've become what you are in just 3 years?
Sure. Well, it's been an exciting ride. Basically, we wound up opening up in the middle of COVID, which was a major challenge for anybody in this industry. And the situation was we had another company that wanted to come in and take some space in the trolley barn public market, which is where we are today. And because of the COVID situation, they decided that they needed to back out. They weren't sure that this was going to be something that could really survive through COVID. So as an owner of the trolley barn, I said, all right, I'll take a stab at it and try to get another gentleman actually from Boardroom Distilling, who I know you've spoken with as well, Murat, and Boardroom was really, really helpful in saying, you know what, you've got a great space there. We'd really encourage you to do this yourself. We'll show you everything you need to know how to do, and if you have any questions, come back to us. But they really put Doane in business, and I really want to give them a lot of thanks.
Where did Doane come from?
So the Doane is an interesting story. So Doane is a family name from the Bucks County area. Well, I'm a big fan of history, and what we decided to do was kind of pull from history. So the Doane gang was a band of outlaw Quakers, and we're actually in Quakertown, currently. So I was trying to find a fun way of kind of naming the distillery, and I said, what kind of Quaker would open up a distillery? Quakers don't traditionally drink. And we found the Doane gang, and essentially they were a group of Quakers that lived in Plumsteadville, which is in Bucks County, or around Doylestown, and robbed the Newtown Treasury in Lower Bucks, robbed a tax collector up here in Quakertown. So literally went up and down the road right in front of the trolley barn where we are today.
You have gins, vodkas, whiskey, bourbon, you even have an agave spirit. Mm-hmm. Is this something that when you started this, that you were like, we're gonna have a wide variety right away?
That's a great question, because actually a lot of distilleries, as you know, are really focused on one product. Truthfully, we have one still that makes all of these products. It's really, distilling is the process of taking a low proof fermented product and just concentrating it. If you have a wine, you can make brandy. If you have like a mash, almost like a beer mash, you can make whiskey, and pretty much from any sugar content you can distill and make vodka.
Not only do you have your own spirits that you bottle, but you also have ready to drink. I'm assuming because it was COVID inspired.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us about your ready to drink items?
So traditionally our ready to drinks are more of a cocktail, a mixed cocktail. You would expect to be able to get at a bar, you're not taking just the spirit, you're adding some of the other flavors to that and making a more refined finished cocktail. And they become very, very popular. The Trulies and White Claws and things of that nature have been, people just wanted something a little bit different than a beer, flavor. So the ready to drink cocktails allow us to do that. We're taking a finished cocktail and putting it in a can. That's been great. Our Quakerades are actually a product that we developed and is actually canned still at Boardroom because we don't have the canning facilities here. But it was actually a product that we developed because I wanted a lower proof cocktail so that you're not sitting and drinking 20% or higher cocktail. So you get a beer type of manageable buzz going, and it's really light in flavor.
Let's go try that Quakerade.
So again, this is meant to, be a light, refreshing. Imagine yourself kind of sitting at the beach enjoying a cocktail. So
awesome.
Let me know what you think.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Oh wow! It literally just tastes like water with a hint of flavor.
It's very light. We didn't want it to be over flavored, so that it's like I said, you don't have to have. If you have 3-4 of them, you're not like, oh no, this is too sweet. It's meant to be really, really light, just a hint of flavor.
Glenn, you got to try this one. You won't even taste it, so be careful.
That looks great, Sam. Don't let me interrupt you there, Todd. Coming up, we're going to check in France with our pal Joe Sixpack. We're at the Mystic Ways Brewery in Percy. It's What's Brewing. Hey, it's Glen Macnow here with Andrew Colligan, genius and chief bottle washer at the Conshohocken Brewing Company, here to show us what's hot for 2023.
Our lead dog, Type A IPA, citrus and grapefruit, 7% West Coast IPA.
Love this one. It's coming home with me. What's next?
Life Coach, our hazy IPA, our fastest growing brand, juicy and citrusy, perfect for any hazy IPA.
And very crushable. Keep going.
Ring the Bell, our American lager, crisp, clean, easy drinking, tastes especially good down the gate.
No better way to celebrate a win. And
Backpack beer, our Belgian-style wheat, light, refreshing, and approachable. Throw a couple backpacks in your backpack.
I'm gonna go take a hike. Finally,
Publish Row, our classic ESB, proud to make maybe one of the best English ales in the country. Philly loves an underdog. Support your local brewery and watering hole.
it's a beautiful sentiment. All these available at Conshohocken Brewing locations or wherever great beer is sold. Welcome back to What's Brewing. This is the part of the show where we go overseas to check in with France's favorite emigre, Joe Sixpack. Nice to see you. Looks like you're getting the apartment spiffied up there. Good work.
We're getting there. Greetings, Glenn. Don't rub that. You went to the Phillies hat here today on me. I guess you gave up the Eagles hat?
Well, it's baseball season approacheth, so I'm all ready for that. All right, let us start. There is some sad news to report. One of the real pioneers in the Pennsylvania craft brew scene, Ed Stout, passed away recently. Tell us, Joe Sixpack, kind of what he meant in historical perspective.
Well, Ed Stout of Stout's Brewing out in Adamstown in Lancaster County was indeed one of the pioneers, not just in Pennsylvania, but nationally in brewing. He opened up his brewery actually with his wife, Carol, who often got most of the credit, in 1987. But going way back before that, Ed had opened up some businesses out in Adamstown, including the Black Angus Steakhouse, which many people were familiar with. And he turned that into a brewery, Stout's Brewing, that was making amazingly great, interesting German-style beers initially, and then he expanded beyond that. Local beer lovers knew Ed because of his great sense of humor. He was a wonderful host on brewery tours. And of course, even if you were down in Philly, the guy came into Philly all the time. I can't tell you how many times I ran into him at local bars and restaurants, along with Carol, selling beer, trying to turn people on to the whole idea of whatever craft beer was.
We tip one to him, and of course, Stout's closed in 2020, but they probably will come back with Evil Genius as a contract brew, or a label at least.
Well, that's the word. Evil Genius was brewing some of their beers for them. Certainly haven't seen them over here yet, but I really haven't heard very much about them at this point. I hope they do, because their lagers were something to behold. I'd like to raise a toast to them too, Glenn.
All right. One of the things we like to do on this show is kind of help get your expertise to help us out. So we do these feature Joe Sixpack. This week, Neil from Camden asks, can Joe Sixpack help me understand what it says on a beer label? I think I understand ABV, but what the heck is the rest of this? So I brought a can, and this is one 6-point beer, and they put a lot of info on the can. So let's start with ABV. This is a 9.1% double IPA. What is ABV?
Well, alcohol by volume. I think most beer folks know that one, but because it tells you, and it's the first clue about what kind of beer you're going to be drinking. Alcohol by volume is the way that they judge beer today. It used to be judged alcohol by weight, ABW. That changed, I don't know, somewhere around the 70s or 80s, I guess.
I thought alcohol by weight was how much weight it puts on me when I drink it. My general rule of alcohol by volume is anything over 7%, maybe just a couple of those, anything under 5% you can drink all night. Okay, this one also has on it IBU. This is a 103 IBU. What is that telling me?
IBUs are international bittering units, and it's a gauge of how much alpha acids, which are what make beer hoppy, or bitter rather, are in that beer. It's a mathematical equation, and it doesn't always really tell you exactly how bitter tasting the beer is going to be, because that has also to do with the amount of malt that's in the beer and other factors. So the higher the IBU, anything over 100 is super, super hoppy compared to say a Bud, which is going to be around, I think, 5 or 7 IBUs.
Yeah, I remember back, in the day when they used to have the bitter beer face. This beer doesn't have any bitterness, and people wanted beer without anything. Now we do it. I think the word bitter just has a negative connotation. It's like ESB. I like an ESB. I just ignore the word that starts with the letter B. All right, one more thing on this can that I don't see it on a lot. This is 9.5 SRM. I don't know what that means. What is that?
I don't know very many beers that have the SRM on it. That SRM stands for Standard Reference Method, which is a way of judging color. I think we're going to throw up a scale on the screen here so viewers can see. It tells you how dark a beer is. Well, I'm not really sure. It's a thing that brewers need to know, but I don't think beer drinkers need to know. I mean, all I have to do is take a look at my beer and know how how pale or dark it is.
Right, I'll take the mystery of knowing it when I pour. All right, there's a few other things, but this one also has something kind of like the word bitter that I think may turn off a lot of people. This particular beer, this is the 6-Point rosin or resin, depending how you say it, out of New York, and it says on it, dank.
It's an indicator of that sort of that cannabis kind of flavor / aroma that you get out of beer often, and it's just another way of saying that it can be a little skunky perhaps.
But don't fear dank.
No, I think a lot. Dank is more like a West Coast kind of beer, I think, and that's where it came from. Those West Coast podheads, I think.
All right, fine. We serve all kinds here. That's fine. All right, so this one, and so this is 19.2 ounces I got here, times 9.1% ABV. I don't have to be an expert in reading a label to tell you one of these is going to be more than enough. Joe Sixpack.
It's a good start today.
It is always a pleasure. We'll talk to you next week. Bonjour, my friend. Welcome back to What's Brewing. We're at the Mystic Ways Brewery in Percy, having so much fun. Todd Zalecki, MLB Network. I'm Glen Macnow. By the way, this is the Bucks County Ale t-shirt. The Bucks County Ale Trail has free mobile passport. You check in digitally at 5 or more. You get one of these babies. I know Todd plans to wear one home. All right, we are talking to Joe Wisnarski, who is the head brewer here in what is a family operation with your sister. Which sister's name?
You got Angeline Wisnarski.
And your mom?
Alice Creer.
And your
My wife, Florencia D'Amelio.
You guys got a great thing going. And by the way, Mom made us some beer bread with your dunkel, so we're looking forward to housing some of that. But what in the world do I hold in my hand? Joe, you are billing this as a new way to drink beer and said in March you're going to release to the world this magic. It appears to me, and I think we can get it on camera, to be, Todd, what I'm looking at is a glass with some beer and lots of hops.
I think this looks amazing. I cannot wait to try it.
All right, so
honestly.
what's what here, Joe?
So this is called a hop mate, and this is influenced by a drink in South America called a yerba mate. It's basically a loose tea filled inside of a little cup, and you put a filter straw in it, which you guys have right here.
Yeah.
My wife's from there, and she's been drinking them ever since I met her, and that's basically what influenced.
All right, so Todd's going to drink this first because he's going to be the guinea pig. How do we do this? Joe, explain the theory of this.
Wow, this is great.
So basically, we put a bunch of hops into a glass. We put the filter straw in, and then we pour beer in it. Now it's supposed to last over a couple of different pours, and the whole purpose is you slowly get flavor out of the hops over time.
So the hops will last us the evening.
You got it.
And we refill with the beer. Any particular beer that you use, or I can go through the menu?
You can go through the menu, but really what we're going to be doing, we're going to start off with our hazy IPAs. They're really hop-forward beers, and I think these just really enhance them to a whole new level. We're super excited about this.
This is a really creative thing. Listen, I go to breweries every week, right? We go and I love them, but this is appointment viewing, friends.
It looks great and it tastes great. You know, it's really a fantastic combination. It's very cool. Very cool.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're excited about it. So we'll be rolling that out probably early to mid-March, I'd say. So.
Okay, so you started as a home brewer. Your background is you got a degree in radio and TV. Wise not to go that way. You were in the medical field, in the nursing field, but brewing in the house. And you and your mom and your sister ended up at this place in Percy. Like, how'd that happen?
So basically, I wanted a new hobby years ago. I think I lost count, but it has to be at least 10 years ago. So I started home brewing. Then eventually, I guess my beers got pretty good. So my mom, my sister
we can attest to that,
fantastic.
right? Yeah,
great.
Entered some homebrew competitions. I also entered a competition for Evil Genius Brewing, homebrew competition there, and I wound up winning.
How'd you end up here?
You know, we've been living in Bucks County probably for the past 20 years, I'd say. Yeah, go for it. And we were looking all throughout Bucks County. We looked at multiple properties. Percy laid out the red carpet for us. They were like, come here, we really want your business. And it was very encouraging for us.
You know what this reminds me of? Because I don't get up this way too often, but there are places around, there's New Hope, there's Media, Narberth, there are certain places that really have it going, and it seems like Percy's kind of developing that, and you guys are on the bottom floor of that.
Yeah.
You got one more?
I'm sure, you love all your beers, but which one are you maybe most proud of, or which one really gets you excited the most?
I love this, man. Well, I don't want to answer for you.
I love that Dunkel. I am in love with that Dunkel, but it's really the hazy IPAs. I mean, I do so much research into them. I drink them from all around the country. I really try and make them the best they can be. I know a good goal for me is if you get a hazy IPA and you can smell it from about this far away, it's pretty spot on.
That's
so
cool.
I'd say my hazies I'm pretty proud of.
All right, so this hop mate, this invention of yours, this creation, this Einstein-like brilliance that you are developing will hit this place, Mystic Ways Brewery, when?
I'd say early to mid-March.
Oh, that's good. That's right after this show is going to air, and people should come by and try this. We got to give it a try. What's your quick review?
I love this. I would definitely come back and just, I can see myself. I love the fact that you say you order it and just keep refilling it, and it kind of advances the flavor. It's very cool.
You got it.
And I don't often drink beer with a straw, so that in itself is very cool.
That's
well, listen, we've really enjoyed your spot here, Joe. It's a beautiful place. Everything from the decorations to the interior to your beer to your mom's beer bread. Thank you, Mrs. Winarski. Whoops, great beer bread. We're coming back. Thanks so much for having us, Todd. You and I are going to hit the road. We're going to go somewhere else for another episode.
Great. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, everybody, Mystic Ways, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next week on What's Brewing.
What's Brewing is brought to you in part by Monco Maker's Passport. Download your free digital pass and sip your way through Montgomery County. By the Conshohocken Brewing Company, featuring 4 locations and available at beer retailers throughout the tri-state area. By Visit Bucks County. Travel the Bucks County Ale Trail. Get your passport at visitbuckscounty.com. And by support from the Pennsylvania Malt and Brewed Beverage Industry Promotion Board and grant funding from the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board.